$7,000.
Oh, you lied.
So they're spending $7,000.
You want to just take the new
Everybody knows.
Yes, it is. That's at least.
Apparently there's a company that's big that's
And then Nick said if you want to bring something else to the room anyway, why would a Chinese firm pick up?
We'll see how the business.
Yeah.
from random companies and manufacturers. I can buy this on a catalog.
I'll handle the assignments over to you. I'll work with the Swedes on
If
You'll pick up the tab.
Of course I will.
For them here.
it shouldn't be subject to your.
Excuse me, I'd like to call the meeting to order.
That's right.
This is the Resource Management and Administration Committee, Committee of the Whole of Grand Traverse County Board. It is November 14th, 2012. And start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And would the clerk please call the roll?
Commissioner Wheelock?
Yes, ma'am.
Thomas?
Yep.
Max Bauer?
Here.
Lemkool?
Okay.
Yep.
Inman?
Yes.
Henschel?
Yes.
Gilman?
Here.
Commissioner Fleece is excused. And Chairman Richardson?
Yes. Okay, first item of business is the approval of the minutes from October 10th.
So move.
Second.
I have a motion by Thomas and a second by Inman. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. That brings us to our first public comment. If you'd like to read the rules, please.
Any person shall be permitted to address a meeting of the Board of Commissioners which is required to be open to the public under the provision of the Michigan Open Meetings Act. Public comment shall be carried out in accordance with the following board rules and procedures. Any person wishing to address the board shall state his or her name and address. No person shall be allowed to speak more than once on the same matter, excluding time needed to answer commissioners' questions, if any. The chairperson shall control the amount of time each person shall be allowed to speak, which shall not exceed 3 minutes. The chairperson may, at his or her discretion, extend the amount of time any person is allowed to speak. Public comment will be solicited during the 2 public comment periods noted in Rule 5.4 Orders of Business. However, public comment will generally be received at any time during the meeting regarding a specific topic currently under discussion by the board. Members of the public wishing to comment shall raise their hand or pass a note to the clerk in order to be recognized and shall not address the board until called upon by the chairperson.
Okay, is there any member of the public wishing to make comment on anything at this point? Okay, seeing none, we'll close public comment. Next item of business, the approval of the agenda.
Move for approval as presented.
Support.
I have a motion by Inman, support by Henschel. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have an agenda then. Any special orders of business? Don't have any, do we? Okay, that brings us to the consent calendar.
The purpose of the consent calendar is to expedite business by grouping non-controversial items together to be dealt with by one commission motion without discussion. Any member of the commission, staff, or the public may ask that any item on the consent calendar be removed therefrom and placed elsewhere on the agenda for full discussion. Such requests will be automatically respected. If any item is not removed from the consent calendar, the action noted, receive and file, or approval is approved by a single committee action adopting the consent calendar. A, receive and file. 1, Resource Recovery Manager's Report. 2, Road Commission Monthly Report. 3, Child Care Fund Review Report. B, approval. 1, Clean Sweep Grant Fiscal Year 2013. 2, Trash Removal Services Contract with American Waste. 3, Window Cleaning Services Contract with Fish Window Cleaning.
Is there any member of the public who would like to have any item removed for further discussion? Seeing none, is there any member of the board who wishes to have? Mr. Maxbauer?
B3, please.
Okay, B3 will put that under item 7C.
Motion to approve the consent calendar minus B3.
Support.
I have a motion by Lem.
Sonny's down there.
Oh,
I just, and we don't have to pull it, I just would like to make some comments about the Resource Recovery Manager's report when we get further into the agenda, when we talk about the Clean Sweep grant, because I want to make reference to the report in that. So I have no problem accepting the report, but I would like to, talk about the manager's report when we talk about the Clean Sweep grant.
Okay, so we had a motion by Lemko with support by Gilman to approve the consent calendar minus item B, what was it, B3?
Yes.
Okay. All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry, by roll call, please.
Commissioner Thomas?
Yep.
Max Bauer?
Yes.
Lemkool?
Yes.
Inman?
Yes.
Henschel?
Yes.
Gilman?
Yes.
Wheelock?
Yes, ma'am.
Chairman Richardson?
Yes. Okay, which brings us to action on the consent calendar, item B3. Commissioner Max Bauer?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I noticed on page 27 that one of the buildings that we contracted out for window washing services is the Twin Lakes exterior. We have a full-time caretaker out there, and we also have his spouse that I believe works part-time out there. And quite honestly, I can put a squeegee on a stick and do the windows. I mean, I've been out there and I know what they look like. So I'm just wondering why we bid that when we have a caretaker out there and help for the caretaker.
Were you volunteering to do that?
I think so.
then?
That's what it
Yes, I
sounded like to
will.
me.
Okay.
Yes, I will. Absolutely. Just give me a date.
We have the facilities manager here. Danny, do you want to make comment? At the microphone, please.
Danny, come. Danny?
You gotta be at the microphone.
Danny Brown, Director of Facilities for Grand Traverse County. I know you don't want to hear the statement, but we've done it that way for 10 years.
Please don't
I know.
tell me. We've always done it that way.
I know that would get me in trouble.
That's such a good reason, Danny.
They got some of the equipment now. All of the windows on Twin Lakes is low, so we don't have 2 stories or anything.
I know, I've been out there. I can do them.
So I don't really have a good answer for you. I just don't.
Then I'm not going to approve it. Thank you.
Commissioner Lemko?
I'll make a motion to approve the window cleaning bid with the exception of looking at the Twin Lakes camp part of it.
I'm sorry, what do you mean with the exception of looking at it? You mean you want to deduct the Twin Lakes?
Taken out.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
$412.
I don't know if I want to take it out. I just want,
Yes, but Sonny, I'll do it. You can come out and watch.
Well, we have a contract that we need to
She's gonna do
approve.
it, maybe I
so
will.
but I think
We're
that,
going to approve the contract or approve the contract with an amendment, so.
right. Well, I would do the amendment if we can by taking that out and giving it to the caretaker.
Well, no, I think we have a volunteer right here.
Well,
Yes, we do.
She said she would take care of that for us.
I will.
so,
I'll
you know,
watch him. I will.
Just for purposes of clarifying for the public, Commissioner Max Bauer has graciously decided to
No, I've offered.
offered to clean the windows at Twin Lakes, and she'll therefore save the county $412 a year. So I think we owe her a big debt of gratitude for that. So anyway, is that your motion, Commissioner Lemko? Yep. Okay, so the motion is that we'll approve the fish window cleaning bid for window cleaning with the exception of Twin Lakes, $412 for Twin Lakes, with the understanding that Commissioner Max Bauer will take care of the window cleaning out there.
Danny, will you get with me on a date? Sure. For me to go out there?
Sure.
Thank you.
Does he need to support it still?
you got about 12 hours worth of window
I'll
cleaning.
support that if,
$412 and I'm saving the county for 12 hours of work. I can do it.
and just the comment, that's the way we've done it for.
I just can't
Listen,
believe
next year, Commissioner Max Bauer will be a little busier because there's only going to be 7 commissioners versus the 9. So maybe the next time it's bid, that's pretty funny.
Those will be done in the spring, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Fine.
So you don't have to do it before you go on vacation.
I'll do it when I get back.
Is there any further discussion on the motion? So basically what we're doing is we're approving the bid for $75.02 instead of $79.14.
Yep.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, that brings us to,
Thank you.
thank you, Danny. Human Resources. We have a vehicles used in county policy that's been revised.
Jen Seaman, Human Resources Director. Yep, this is a revised vehicle policy for the county, and basically, we kind of cleaned up the policy a little bit, made it a little more user-friendly, easier to understand. There was some confusion on vehicles, when you use your personal vehicle for county business, and when you're using a county vehicle for business, what the differences were, and so we looked to streamline those. I've spoken with 7 different department heads, as well as Dave and the undersheriff as well, to get his opinion, and their comments have been included in the policy as well.
Jen, there's one little spot in here that I'm not real fond of, and it's on page 35, F, alcohol and drugs. It says, "Staff shall not operate a vehicle during working hours if alcohol or drug impaired." Does that mean they can operate a vehicle outside of working hours if alcohol or drug impaired? What I'm suggesting is, can we take out during working hours?
I'm sorry, I didn't print out the packet, I printed out just the policy, so page 35 is,
Here,
I'm sorry,
Starts with page
I
3
don't-
on top.
starts with,
I'll show it to you.
Page 3 on top.
If we just strike,
See, it says, you shall not operate a vehicle during working hours?
that's
But-
the
but-
old, that's the old policy.
All right.
Well, that's the old policy?
Yeah, that's the old one.
Where's the new one? It's not in our
In
packet.
front,
If that's not, if that's the old one, where's the new one?
starts on 29.
Yeah, alcohol and drugs is on page 2.
21?
Well, I'm sorry,
On page 30 for alcohol and drugs.
All right, hang on.
Page 30.
Policy starts on 29.
Somewhere in this stuff here.
Okay, so that'd be page 30.
Yes.
Oh, I see what you've done. You've
Okay, what I'm just saying
you've
is,
included the new one, and you've included...
the new one says they will not operate.
okay.
a vehicle for
Got this all
business
together,
use
made it look
when
like
they
it's
have
one giant-
consumed alcohol, drugs, narcotics, or any other substances. But it doesn't say employees, why don't you just take out for business use? Why don't you just say, employees will not operate a vehicle,
A county
a
vehicle.
county
county
vehicle,
vehicle.
when they have consumed alcohol, drugs, narcotics, or any other
Well, the
substance.
policy covers both county vehicles and when they're using their own
personal
vehicle. So,
If they're operating them on county.
I mean, that's a policy that if they have
If they're operating
if they've consumed any alcohol, they're not supposed to be driving
I
a
get-
county business, whether they're in their own car or somebody else's car or a county car. And that's
Yeah.
the way it reads.
That's not the way I read it, but fine.
If it helps, what we did was we took the policy, basically there's 3 different sections: responsibilities when driving on the job, that applies to anybody, whether you're driving on the job. And then the next section, operation of a county assigned vehicle, is operating the county assigned vehicle. And then the next section, there's assignment and maintenance of this county assigned vehicle. So they're
Okay.
broken out in different sections, because
All
the
right.
old policy, those were some common questions. It was a little bit confusing, so we tried to streamline it and make it a little more
Okay.
easy to read. That helps.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the revised vehicle county policy.
Support.
I have a motion by Inman, support by Maxbauer. Herb?
Yeah, I'm trying to see in there if it has that anybody that has a vehicle has to provide a certificate of insurance back to the
Yes.
county?
Yes.
It is in there?
Yep.
Okay, good.
As well as if you're driving your own vehicle,
Right.
you have to have one available upon request.
Right. So show proof of insurance.
Correct.
Right.
Commissioner Henschel?
Jen, is there some reference for employees? Yeah, I'm looking at number 3 again. Employees shall not operate a vehicle for business use when they have consumed alcohol or drugs or narcotics. Might there be a circumstance where an employee has a prescription for a drug or narcotic where they actually could operate without impairment?
Yep, the next paragraph goes into that, Rob, that they must report it to the department head or to myself.
Prescribed?
And then, depending on what that medicine is, we might have to take them to an independent medical evaluation if it's something that, I can't make a judgment call on.
Okay.
So that gives us that flexibility.
So if it's an over-the-counter drug, they can't operate? Is this?
Depends on what it is.
It could be a handful of Benadryl.
Yeah, and I could easily call Munson too. That would probably be what would happen if someone came to me with that. So that way I could find out, and how long they're driving, how much they're driving, what kind of car they're driving. There's a variety of questions that would have to.
Okay, and of course caffeine is a drug, so you got to tell all the cops they can't drink coffee and drive.
No, I don't think so.
Well, this policy does not apply to the sheriff's department. They have their own policy. Yeah. So.
Moving on.
Don't go there.
Let's
Moving
vote.
on.
They just eat donuts,
That's
they
a
don't
real
drink
best.
coffee.
You said 15 minutes, it's 7:15.
You're right. Stop talking.
Any further discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, and then we have recruitment process for Traverse City Light and Power. What is this?
This was brought up a couple weeks ago, and we were asked to bring it back. I asked Jen to put something together for you, and she kind of outlined her workload and what's going on with all this, how it all worked with the road commission. And I guess it's up to the board on what they want to do. I think it's certainly a bargain, looking at what the road commission got.
Yeah.
Because normally this is about, it depends on the pay for the executive being, researched, but.
Have we gotten a formal request from Light and Power?
Well, I have. I've been asked by Light and Power to see if Jen is available to do this for them.
I'm sorry, you say we have gotten a formal request?
I have been given a formal request from Mr. McGuire.
From Mr. McGuire, okay.
Jen, I don't want to pressure you. I mean, I understand that your time is limited, and as the months go by, it's even more limited. Are you willing to do this? Do you have the time? Because I don't want to pile on if you can't do it.
I don't want to say I can't do it. I don't mind doing it. It will be more work, as I outlined here. It's 5 extra hours per week is what if you take it, my time for the road commission is what it worked out to be.
I guess what I'm asking from the administrator and from you is, quite honestly, if we can, I'd like to, but I understand that, again, that I don't want to pile a whole bunch of unnecessary work on you. And Dave, if you don't think she's got the time, I won't support it.
Can I just throw out another idea? Could Jen do this on her own time outside of work and just do a private contractor arrangement with them?
Well, I would second that, because the burden that's being placed here is on Jen, and it doesn't really do the county any good to basically subsidize Light and Power's search. Now, if they really like Jen and want to hire her, my feeling would be if she wants to do it, she should be fairly compensated for that. And, first of all, it would mean that it would not interfere with her work for the county, but secondly, if she wants to take on an extra workload, at a time of her life when I'm guessing that she has plenty to do. I mean, I do remember that time in our family when we were expecting our first child, and, it's like, you think you got everything under control, and then the child gets born, and wow. Anyway, so my feeling is, if you want to do it, Jen, I don't have a problem, but I don't see why we should, basically the county board should be subsidizing Light and Power to give them cheap services. That if you want to do it, you should charge them a fair amount of money for what it's worth, and if you don't want to do it, then you don't have to deal with it. So
My only concern with that is, I'm here 8 to 5 at least every day, and it would be during that time. I don't have a problem doing that, but it'd be really hard for me to not, because there's the same business hours.
Yes, to cut it off.
Yeah, so that I just wouldn't want to.
Well, you could use, I don't know what the situation is, but you could use like personal days so it would still be done during 8 and 5 or something. I don't know.
Yeah, but the way the road commission, it would be a call here, a call there, so it would be 20 minutes, a half an hour, maybe an hour every day. So, yeah, that would just be a little bit, I think, difficult in that aspect.
I really don't have a problem going forward with this, but I really feel that you should be compensated additional compensation for doing so. I don't think the county should be making money on you on this particular situation. You've got some great talents. You're very professional at what you do. People really appreciate what's going on, but there ought to be a way for us, this $45 an hour is ridiculous, the rate that we charge. We should be charging probably $100 an hour, and you ought to be receiving part of that for additional compensation. When we brought Dean in, I think there was a 4% increase in the salary for additional work that he picked up to be able to be the administrator. And I'm not so sure that maybe during this period of time, I don't know, some way, some shape or form that somehow you've got to be compensated additionally for the work that you're doing. And I do not have a problem doing it while you're doing it on county time, but we should be charging a fair rate, and we should be compensating you for the work you're doing.
I don't think we should become the employment agency for Lake and Power, the city, or anybody else. I'm opposed to it.
Sorry?
Well, I have a lot of mixed feelings about whether or not this is the right thing to do. Primarily my concern is Jen's workload. And we all know that she is a salaried official. She's committed to Grand Traverse County, and she will get her work done, whether it means she has to be here, at 9 o'clock at night or 7:30 at night when she should have went home at 5 o'clock. She will get her work done. But the fact is, there's a certain amount of work. The primary concern that I have is that we have multiple labor contracts that are coming up in 2013. I don't know if you're going to start any of that prior to your leave.
Yes. But David and I have discussed starting.
That's my concern. If we take the first 3 months of the year that we're going to, which we really should be laying the groundwork for those negotiations, at least in my mind, and then I don't know if you're going to be off 9 weeks, 12 weeks, whatever that time frame is, then all of a sudden we're into the middle of the summer and we don't have our labor negotiations done. So I want to make sure that we don't forget that our primary focus is to make sure that we take care of our HR requirements.
Jason, then Larry.
I think I would think that you'd want to do this as much as possible. I mean, it's a well-known fact that you can't experience pregnancy or labor pains while reading resumes. Sorry.
How do you know?
That's a pretty good comment. Well, here's where I'm at on this thing is that, I kind of bent a little bit when it was the road commission because actually under our financial statement, the legislature says if they do something financially imbalance or wrong or become insufficient or insolvent, we're sort of responsible for them. Same with the pavilion, same with the airport, and that's as far as it goes. And the city has their own personnel department, and I don't want to get into a situation where every organization, whether they're governmental or not, all of a sudden has an option to come to you to do their searches. It just becomes a regular routine for boards to come to the county and seek your talent and then try to interfere with your workload and everything we want to accomplish here. So where do we draw the line? I mean, a month from now someone else could come in and ask for your search services, and then another month from now some other company could come in and ask for your search services. So the city has their own recruiting process and their own personnel department. They went through and did their own search for their city manager. So I think the bottom line is we have to draw the line. We're only going to do some of these, and it would be unfair to place you in a burden of accepting too much of a workload when, as Sonny says, you've got labor contracts coming on board, you've got most likely the issue of classification plans coming in at some point in time for next year, and balancing all that out. because I know there's a lot of discussion among board members in their level of frustration at some point in time. We're going to have to dive into those classification plans and determine how we're going to do those and make the time allocable to do that. So, we got some things on the horizon. We haven't had our strategic planning session yet, which kind of lays out all the departments and what their workload is and what they want to accomplish and get done, and then we're throwing this at you. So, I'm sort of in the camp that we got to draw a line somewhere. I'm sort of in the camp of Christine Maxbauer, that I don't want to unfairly put you in a position of doing double time when you're in the process of having a baby, and then you've probably got a big workload coming at you in 2013. So that's where I'm at.
Sonny?
Mr. Chairman, I would move that we advise Traverse City Light and Power that we are not available to assist them with their management search.
Support.
I have a motion by Wheelock, support by Dick. Jason, you first, then Commissioner Maxbauer.
Well, I won't support that because I think, I think we should leave it up to her and her department whether or not she can handle it. If she can handle it and bring in a little bit of revenue for the county, that's great. Additional revenue or additional payment for those services, I think that's a complication we don't need to broach. If we'd like to do this in the spirit of cooperation with our neighboring, our neighboring community, the city which our building is in, I don't think it's inappropriate. But again, whether you're too busy or not. And if you're too busy, you say, I'm sorry, we can't do that. And I think we would all respect that, but I don't think we need to make a motion from this board that directs any action one way or the other.
I will not be supporting the motion. I believe it should be left up to Jen and to Dave. And however Jen is fairly compensated, should be between Dave and Jen, and I will certainly support that. Primarily because I too believe we share many services with the city of Traverse City. And I think there is a huge benefit in continuing down that partnership road. And whenever possible, I think we should be reaching out and cooperating with other governmental entities. I'm not saying that we will do this or we should do this. I'm saying it should be left up to Jen and to Dave, and how Jen is fairly compensated, whatever they work out, I'm fine with.
Dave he had his hand up, if we could hear from him, if that's possible.
Yeah, Jen's a nice person, as everyone knows. And when her boss asked her if she can do this, she says, yeah. And you say, do you want to do it? Well, I can do it, I can do it. She wouldn't say no to me, and she won't say no to you. But I think it's really something that all the comments that were made are indicative of where we're headed right now with HR. I mean, she's got a plate that's getting very full very quickly because the way the law is now, you got to get these negotiations pretty much started. She already has people talking to her about starting negotiations for for contracts that end in 2013. They want to get it done with so they know where they are. And now that we're past the election, we know pretty much what the Health Act is going to look like. So she's starting to get her research, the things she has to do for research for our strategy is getting already loaded up onto her plate. I personally, since she won't tell me no, I think that she should be the one to tell Light and Power no, if she wants to do that. It's up to her, really. And I don't know that the county really has much involvement in it. When I watched her go through this road commission piece, I would venture a guess that over half the hours that she put in were at night or on weekends. When you have to go through 70 applications or whatever the number, 50 applications, you don't do it sitting in your office when you're supposed to be doing county work, and the county work is coming at you every day. You basically got to get into a room somewhere and hide, which means Saturday and Sunday she's in a room hiding somewhere and working for 12 hours, and she didn't really get any compensation for that. She just does it because she's a good employee. So I commend her for that. But I would, if I had my druthers about this, I would say, let Jen decide whether she wants to do it for them or not. I suggested she go out and, spend $50 and get some articles of incorporation and open up an LLC, Jen Seaman LLC, and charge for her work. Because she obviously is very much in demand, and I can see why.
Sonny?
She does a good job for us.
Well, I think, you say this isn't something the county board should weigh in on, but I think this is a policy thing. This is when the county's HR department is being asked, and it's specifically the HR director, to provide a service to someone other than a county entity. And Light and Power is not a county entity. They truly are not a governmental agency. They are a byproduct, if you will, of the city Light and Power, or the city Board of Commissioners. And I believe this board is here to set policy. And if we were having this discussion because Addiction Treatment Services was looking for a new manager, we contract with those people every day, but we're not going to provide those services for them. And so I believe the motion is in order, and I guess what I would like to suggest is that we, have maybe a little more discussion, but let's vote on the motion and then we'll decide,
I will support the motion as well, and, I'm in favor of collaborations, certainly between county, city, and the other government entities in this county, but this isn't like we're collaborating with them on a joint project. This is we're providing a service to them. Interestingly enough, the city of Traverse City does not have its own human resources director, although the Light and Power does.
Oh.
And when Light and Power did hire one quite recently, it's been the last 2 or 3 years, I know I stood up at a city commission and said I thought it was ridiculous that, an outfit with 39 or 40 employees needed their own full-time HR director to handle that. Again, I do feel, Jen, that, if you want to do as, Mr. Ben has suggested, set up your own LLC and do a little side work, I'm sure that if you made a few phone calls during work hours for the county, no one's going to get too upset about it, because I'm sure you could show just as many hours past 8 to 5 that you were putting in on behalf of the county. But again, that's totally up to you, and if you were to do that, you should benefit proportionally by it, and not let the county make money on you.
We have set precedent already in doing this before. We did this with our equalization director and allowed her to go out and contract for other counties, for another county outside of our county, to provide services for them. If this motion goes forward, I would like to make another motion.
Okay, we'll do it.
Clarify that.
Is there any further discussion on this,
Another
Ron?
county's equalization?
I just
She did
wanted
Suns Bay.
clarification.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, we approved it.
I guess I don't remember that.
From either Jen or Dave, is there anything in your current contract that would prevent you from going outside and doing a personal contract with Light and Power?
I'm a non-contract employee.
She's not.
You're not okay. Is there anything in policy that would prevent her from doing that?
She needs a permission from.
Yeah,
she
I
had
think
to
that she would need permission to do it.
From the administrator or from the board?
I suppose I could give it to her, but
Yeah.
I'd certainly want the board to be aware of it.
Okay.
It would be a conflict of
I'd
interest.
be okay with it.
Really.
I can't see a problem with the board.
Okay. You ready to vote? Oh, Dick?
Just one thing, what if who she recommended they hire turns out to be a dog? Then we'll get blamed for it, and she'll get blamed for it.
Well,
won't be making
I honestly think that all she's probably doing
Yeah, I
is
don't-
providing candidates,
That's a
and
risk,
they're picking from the candidates.
They make the selection.
gonna
She
happen,
just
is it,
narrows
Jen?
down.
I don't make the decision. I don't recommend anybody. Is Dave still here?
He hasn't run from the room?
The road commissioners made their decision without my recommendation, so.
Are we ready to vote on that?
Yeah.
Okay, a roll call, please.
All right, Commissioner Maxbauer?
No.
Lemkool?
Yes.
Inman?
No.
Henschel?
Yes.
Gilman?
No.
Wheelock?
Yes.
Thomas?
Yep.
Chairman Richardson?
Yes, motion passes 5-3.
So I'd like to make a motion that we allow Jen to, if she so desires, that she can use some of county time and to work with the administrator, that she could be allowed to do a separate contract with them if she so desires.
Support.
That's in this one specific instance?
Yeah, for the Sea Line Power.
Any discussion on this motion?
Support.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
I see the cash rolling in.
College fund.
Better start now.
Diaper fund.
All of a sudden, you became a little more valuable.
Okay, next we have the administrator's report. I guess I have a bunch of stuff under the administrator's report.
So the Board of Public Works appointment wasn't anything that I
Oh,
had put
yeah,
on
that's
there.
just a protocol.
You want to make that appointment?
I'll make a motion to approve Jay Zollinger as a appointment for the Board of Public Works representing Acme Township. That's just a
Okay.
basic protocol supervisors.
Been supported by Gilman, was that? Okay.
Somebody down there.
And Mr. Zollinger, I take it, has already taken office as the new
Yes,
supervisor?
yes.
Okay.
Well, November 20th.
November 20th.
November
Well, he
20th.
wasn't on November 20th.
Yeah.
Okay. So he'll be replacing Wayne
Wayne
Clatter.
Clatter.
Okay. Any further discussion on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Mr. Benda?
Yes.
Aye is unanimous.
So you have a copy of my report.
Yeah, well
There's
done.
a few things on here that I want to mention. The tribal council, I meet with the tribe, some tribal council members and the chair of the tribe once a month, and they discussed this time the idea of having an informal meeting with the tribe, maybe not even a meeting, an official meeting, but just a get-together where we had punch and cookies or something, and I just wanted you to keep that in mind for next year. They want to kind of reach across and get to know us as people a little bit better, and we'll have a get-together maybe once, maybe even twice a year, who knows.
That's fine.
And I also sent a letter to all county offices inviting them to participate in the website committee. I think I've described it in here, but the Cliff Notes version is, we're going to be reviewing every page of the county's website to critique it, have disparate county departments there. We're going to do it for an hour a month, and we're all going to, say, well, you can't find this on there, and this should be located over here, and we're going to make those changes. Then they're going to come back the next month, and we're going to look and see what they did. So there's a lot of peer pressure involved, and hopefully that'll improve our website without spending a lot of money, but everybody will be involved.
I was talking to a gentleman today about making your website connected to a phone app. That they said most of the websites are now being read by phone apps, and people are off their cell phones rather than often their computers. And so I'm meeting with him, and so maybe, you'd like to, or maybe even Don Sheehan or somebody would like to meet with him at that day. It's Wednesday at 10 o'clock after Thanksgiving. So it might be an idea for us to be able to step up into the next level to take our website and put it on a phone app.
Okay. And that meeting's going to be, the first one's going to be November 28th at 9 a.m. in the training room. I also wanted to note that we have a newly promoted supervisor, Leah Hornacek, in 911, who took the initiative to apply for some funding. We got a $500 grant from Walmart to purchase some items to help our community learn more about 911, and I always like to recognize people who go just out of their way to do something good for our community. I also wanted to note that the building is open, or it's getting there. I was over at the new building today, and it's looking pretty good. They're actually doing work already. They've already had 3 clients, and I think tomorrow they'll be even more into swing, and by the end of the week, they should be in full swing. So, and the sign is up out front now. It's looking good.
Everybody I've talked to said the move went extremely well.
Yes. Everybody's pretty amazed at how well it went.
Yeah,
And Danny and his group
should be complimented.
should be very, very much complimented for that. I know how those go, and those are tough. We did get our occupancy permit.
Did we? Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
I also wanted to point out a couple of things that aren't on the list. One is that MSU Extension requested to be closed December 26th through 28th as there's no traffic or phone calls from the public during that week, and their office staff is requested to be off with their family on personal time. So he said, well, I don't really want to leave it open with one person there, so do you mind if we close it? And I'm just letting you know that. If you got strong objections, you're the ones that set the office hours for buildings, but MSU Extension really doesn't have much going on between Christmas and New Year's, so they all want to take off for personal time and take for vacation time during that period. I don't have a problem with it. I don't know.
Are we going to do that to other facilities?
Well, if they don't have the public, demanding their attention, I don't see a problem with it, but in this case, it's pretty rare that we have a county department that is like that. Most folks have things to do, so many things to do that they look forward to the downtime so they can have some office time to just work on the things, that clean up emails and get things filed, and that's what I always used to spend my time between Christmas and New Year's doing.
So is that MSU Extension and Commission on Aging, or is it just MSU?
No, just MSU Extension offices. So I'm just letting you know that. If you've got strong feelings about that, please let me know. I can tell them no. But right now, my first inclination is I don't have a reason to say no. So
We're already closed on Monday, right?
yeah, we're going to be closed Monday and Tuesday. So this is Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Legislative report is, I'm pleased to report that the governor signed Senate Bill 1129 into law as Public Act 329 of 2012, which allows a municipality like us with at least a AA credit rating to issue a municipal bond to pay for all parts of an unfunded pension liability. And we have a pretty substantial unfunded pension liability, and I'm wondering if you're interested in doing that, if you want me to start working on looking at issuing bonds to eliminate our unfunded liability for closed defined benefit units.
Certainly, I probably would want you to do some additional work on that and report back probably like next Ways and Means or even at the beginning of the year.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if there's any urgency involved in it.
No?
But I think what we should do is have an analysis done on if MERS is indeed, as I'm reading in their newsletter, posturing to ease the pressure on counties and not do any more accelerated amortizations beyond 14 years. And if we're comfortable in our budget doing 14 years to pay it off at a much faster pace than bonding out for 20, if we can manage that in the budget versus the cost savings of our $1 million hole and maybe some other structural changes that we can talk about in strategic planning, then I think that's just one piece of the budget discussion that we can have as we go through strategic planning and the structural change of the county. I think that's just one component because, as you know, you talked about the possibility of a lot of things, prioritizing departments as one, two, perhaps changing the health plan with the county, and instead of a $10 copay, it'd be a $20 copay for office visit or a 1540 card that would substantially reduce our premiums, and those all kinds of structural changes that we can make to fit the budget where the shortfall is. And is this part of that strategic thinking that we have to bond out for 20 years, or can we maintain a 14-year amortization and continue down the road and maintain those payments? So that's something that we'd have to have some assistance with you and Dean on.
So you understand how it works, it doesn't pay off your liability. What it does is you float a bond and you take all this money and you pay your ARC with it.
Yes.
And you have someone invest the money and you get a return on that money. And so the only thing that's really critical is the timing on when you do it. When the market's way up here, not such a good time.
Right.
When the market's crashing is a great time to do it, because there's nowhere to go but up. So your chances of getting a better than, what your assumptions are, return,
That's true.
go
That's
up.
another
And
component.
if your returns go up, better than your assumptions, you pay off your bond earlier.
Yes, that's true.
And so what it does is gets you to a flat payment for something that right now is doing this and fluctuates and does all kinds of things. So it's something that you really need a comprehensive financial plan on, and that's what I'm asking about is, do you want us to get a financial planner or a financial consultant in here to show us what that looks like? Because I couldn't tell you. I can tell you what rough numbers look like, but I can't tell you for a fact what, based on this assumption, this assumption, this assumption, this is what we expect would happen, unless that's what you need.
Well, just to follow up on my comment, and I'll just let do better. I personally would like to see that analysis done. I don't want to see it as I don't want to see the analysis done at a great cost.
Right.
In terms of a high-priced consultant, but, bond counsel can help us, John Axe, yourself, and somebody else that would have expertise in those actuarials and accruals and versus the MERS, the MERS situation versus bonding, then that would be very helpful. And it doesn't have to be done overnight. It can be done sometime after the first of the year, and then it can be part of our strategic discussions.
Commissioner Max Bauer?
MERS is the same organization that tells us that we're getting 8% on our money, and those of us who believe that we're getting 8% in our investments, where do I sign up? I will be perfectly honest, I do not trust these people. No, I don't.
I don't blame you.
And I think the worst thing we can do is bond what we owe, and then they're just going to stick more on top of what we bond. I just
It
don't
doesn't have
trust
anything to do with them, other than the fact that we owe the liability that their actuarial report tells us that we have, that's. all
My
their
experience
role
with these people is not warm and fuzzy. I just don't trust them. I don't want to go down this road, but
Yeah,
If the-
but Commissioner Maxbauer, you're missing the point of it. The liability with MERS, until the legislature passes a bill that says we don't have to deal with MERS, the liability with MERS goes on. What Mr. Bennett's proposing is a way to soften that blow, not giving the money to MERS. I mean, my first thought when I first heard about this was, we're going to, let's say it's $36 million, okay?
Fine.
So my thought is, okay, we're going to sell bonds for $36 million and then give $36 million to MERS and say, okay, now we're done. That's not what's going to happen. What he's talking about, and this is why the analysis is a little trickier, is we bond for the $36 million, but then we use that money to create a revenue stream to then take that and pay what we owe to MERS.
What happens is...
Because we're paying 10%.
in effect, we're going to play the
And we pay that
market.
rising
In effect,
piece.
we're going to play the market.
Well, very safe investments.
We're going to finance the debt. That's exactly what that's what that is all about. It's financing your debt. Instead of paying $36 million for your building, you're going to take it out over 20 years, and you're going to pay a single number every year, or a small fluctuation in number every year, and you're going to get, at 20 years, it's going to be all paid off. You take your liability for your retirement, and you pay it off over that time period. In the meantime, this $36 million goes in the bank or goes to actually investments. You hire a professional investment group to manage those funds, and they have assumptions behind those, and you're going to get so much of a rate of return, and that's what this whole financial analysis is about. They tell you what your rate of return is going to be and what you can expect, and they're very conservative about that, so that at the end of 14 years or 15 years, hopefully, you'll actually be done with the whole thing. You'll have it all paid off, because you beat the assumptions.
That almost doesn't...
I have a bridge I'd like to sell you.
I will tell you, and I kind of went into this originally thinking this isn't such a bad idea, but as far as borrowing money to invest money, you'd think, well, why don't they just invest the money? I mean, And that doesn't, it almost doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, right now, there's some things to consider before we jump head first into this. Right now, we are at historically low interest rates. Now, that would be an advantage for borrowing money, there's no question about it. But we are also at a market that's still somewhat depressed from where it ought to be. Well, when those interest rates rise, that market's going to go down again. It's going to be depressed again. And so, looking at this a lot of different ways. Right now, MERS operating at the assumption we're making 8% is they're going to have to start accelerating our payments, right?
Yes.
I mean, that is a fact.
policy.
There is no way that we're pulling 8%. So, taking all of these things into consideration, does this make the most sense? I mean, there's a lot in play here. I mean, more so than 10 or 20 minutes of conversation, from the board here.
Oh, no, I agree.
I think Herb had his hand up now.
So, when I was on the Community Mental Health Board, they put additional money in there on a yearly basis, and I think they're still underfunded, which scares me about this whole process. And when you start looking at, we've done accelerated payments for 5 years, probably. And
Dean left.
yeah, Dean's already gone. But I'm guessing 5 or 6 years that we've,
I know it's ending next year.
yeah.
They gave us a freeze for 14.
Well, we had a freeze for 3 years.
Yeah.
Right.
But for 5 years before that, and we got no increase in our value on our investments at that point. And so, when you start looking at dollar cost averaging, and you start putting money in on a regular basis, you supposedly are going to be able to do a lot better than trying to time the market. I mean, you just can't time that market.
No, you
There's no way
can't.
to do it. But, I really am concerned about trying to bond to be able to do this, but also, I'm very concerned that if MERS doesn't give us the option to be able to not pay that accelerated, we're going to be taking money out of programs and out of services. Absolutely taking it right out of them, because we're going to have to pay $1 million a year.
More.
Or more. $3 million or more
Yeah.
per year.
And it might be
We're going to have to pay it anyway.
Well, no, but we're going to be taking that out of services. And so, I just don't know where to go on this. And so I would like to see some figures.
No, that's, that's what
and-
the idea
and
is.
just to give
You
me
get a
an
financial
idea-
consultant to come and do
Yeah.
this,
Yeah,
thumbnail
Shame on me
analysis
if
for
I
us.
don't explore it. And to be able to at least know that these are some of the options and this is what we should be doing.
Axon.
But we need to go forward and do that kind of exploring. We're not making that decision tonight. All we're just saying is, Dave, go ahead and get some figures, bring it back, and then we'll see where we're going to go from there.
Yeah, or not. I mean,
Or not.
that's my question tonight is, do you want me to look into this, or is it a waste of time?
Right.
I think you should look into it.
I do too.
Rob?
This Senate Bill 1129 is just a tool in the toolbox. I don't expect that we'll ever actually use it personally. But it's a result of really hard financial times, and MERS was panicking. And so they accelerated our payments to the point where it was, basically they put all the burden on the counties. And millions of dollars they're expecting from us. And out of that, we went to the legislature and said, look, we need a pressure relief valve. And this is what they come up with. If it gets that bad to the point where
Our payments were not accelerated because of the fiscal crisis. Our payments were accelerated because our,
portion. The accrual for the,
Governor
the
Cox
units are
standards.
closed, okay? Because fewer and fewer people are paying into
Right,
them.
right.
That's why they're accelerated.
But
Not
it's also
because of
the fact
fiscal
that
crisis.
the money that they are investing is not yielding a high interest rate.
that too.
That's what I mean by the financial
Speaking only
issue.
personally, I've been making more than 8% on my investments over the last
Well, you're in the wrong
Well, I
business
gotta
then.
follow you.
Anyways, and the point is, this is just a tool in the toolbox. I don't expect us to use it, but it's something we can grab. If they start accelerating the payments such that we're cutting police officers from the street to pay it, we have this as an option to say, all right, you want $3 million this year, wait, we're going to bond this out and spread it out over 20 years instead. So it's just a tool in the toolbox to, keep your eye on, that's all.
I agree.
Sonny, we haven't heard from you yet.
Well, I think more the tool that's in this toolbox is a lever. is the way I see it. Because what it does is it gives us the opportunity to, if nothing else, use that as leverage with MERS. Because what MERS has done to us, and a lot of other counties, is they've went and they've looked at our individual groups, and they've said, okay, because of the fact your defined benefit group is getting smaller, we're going to rapidly accelerate that piece. I think what this tool will also give us an opportunity to do is to go back to MERS and say, look, you need to treat our group as a unit of a whole, not individual bargaining units separately. And that's what they're doing right now, is they're using each one of our individual bargaining units and leveraging them separately as to what our accrual is. And I believe that without question, we need to investigate this. I don't think we need to rush into a panic to do that, and it certainly is a decision that should be made by the new county board after January. So it probably doesn't, whether we start the ball rolling, I think it's appropriate that it be done with the new board after January 1st. That being said, I think more than anything else, it's a lever that we need to sit down with MERS and say, look, you people, and don't, let us not forget, they are our organization. We have members on that board, and we have votes on that board. But the fact is, the organization that we participate in and have participated in for many years has gotten to where, in my mind, they're more interested in servicing their organization than they are their participating governmental entities. And that's where we have the problem. We need to go after MERS and see if they can't reevaluate how they look at this undefined benefit. And, Herb talked about mental health. My memory's right. They put in like $2.5 million then they went back and they put in more. So a total of $4 million, and they didn't see a dime worth of difference at the end of that $4 million where their unfunded liability was.
Again, no one's talking, the proposal, the rough outline of the proposal is not about accelerating payments to MERS. Jason?
I would completely support a bonding if we eliminate completely the rising liability. In other words, if we could cash out the existing pensions that are still going, cash them out and change them over to a defined contribution, get rid of whatever remaining units there are, if you can in the contracts or something. The point is, that would be the only way, because then we can seriously take advantage of the low interest rates now, and it would be an advantage to us, for sure. Otherwise, we still have a mystery number at the end.
That isn't going to happen with the bargaining units and the courts.
No, it's not gonna happen.
It could be.
Just to remark, you can, as far as cashing out, you can't force people to cash out. What you can do, you can say, I've made you a promise, I'm going to keep my promise, I'm not making any new promises. You can stop it now and say, no more credit weeks, no more credit months after this.
Well, that's what we did.
If you want to, everybody goes to a defined contribution from this day forward. You are, if you got 22 years and that's all you're going to get in this DB plan.
Well, that would get us closer, because it'd be more predictable.
We can do that.
Yeah.
We're winding
But we
down
don't
on
have
that.
very many.
But that's not a very popular thing to do,
We have
but
very few
it can be
DBs
done.
Well, it's about 2 more years before, assuming everything is equal, about 2 more years before we get over the hump, and then we actually start seeing a decline.
We've got very few left on DB, and they're winding down.
Well, we need that report. That could be part of what you're looking at.
What they'll do is they'll do that projection out.
Okay, so do you have enough direction from us at this point?
I think I'm going to talk to John Axe and see if he can give us something to talk about anyway.
Okay.
That gives us some idea of what we would be getting into.
Okay, good.
Is it my understanding that I think it's the district court still has, if anyone is hired in, they still go to a DB plan?
Circuit court. Circuit court.
Okay, and are we looking at changing that situation, or
Their contract doesn't come up for another, Jen's gone, 2 years, I think.
a couple of years? Okay.
We are, the certain judges aren't.
Got it.
That's where we were the last time it was
Anyway.
renewed.
Yeah, at least they're paying into the system, which is easing our problem temporarily.
Anyway, with another piece of legislation, House Bill 5804, which you opposed last month, was passed by the House. I don't know that it's going to go anywhere.
Which
I
one
am
was that?
pleased to report, however,
Indigent
that
defense.
all the Republican legislators then in our area voted against it. So it was, it's not a very good bill. It would require us, it penalizes us for being efficient, is what it does.
But that's only in one house that's passed it, the other house hasn't. Right.
And I doubt that it's going to make it through there, but we'll see.
Senate won't take it.
Other than that, I don't have anything else.
Well, good report, there's a lot there.
Thank you.
Okay. And by the way, I also, I enjoyed the lengthy thing that in our packet, detailing all the different things that are going on in the county.
Yeah,
I found
that's
it
just
very
your...
helpful. I mean,
At least in my packet, I enjoyed it so much, I got 2 of them.
Me too.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we all got 2 of them.
That's one to hand out.
Okay.
That's
I
right.
do have one
That's right,
question.
for the townships.
Okay, are you done with your report, Mr.
I do have one question on that report, though. Something that he hadn't touched, and it's just a bullet item that, on these grants, this COG grant, where does this money come from? And maybe Commissioner,
The Council
Chairman.
of Governments grants?
Yeah, I mean, Chairman.
For what now? What item?
The community growth grant, where does that money come from?
Oh, yeah, I already answered that. That comes from I can't remember the foundation, the Kellogg Foundation.
It is a Kellogg
Yeah,
Foundation.
it's a
grant.
pass-through for the Kellogg Foundation.
All right,
Yes.
I'm just trying to keep
Yeah,
track.
I called and got that information for you.
They pass a lot of money through COG, don't they?
Yeah, we're just an administrative agent.
Yeah.
They have to have one in order to distribute the money.
Okay, any unfinished business? I guess none. New business?
Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner Matzman? I'm sorry.
Excuse me. I had mentioned earlier, I wanted to talk a little bit
Oh,
about
right,
the
yes,
manager's
please.
report, and I'm sorry, I kind of
That's fine, go
spaced
ahead.
that off here a little bit. In your packet tonight, you approved the Clean Sweep grant, and that handles the removal of pesticides and collection of pesticides. And you noted that we do that for 5 or 6 counties. We are the designated facility, and that's why we received the money from the USDA. But if you noticed in the manager's report, and for the public listening, I wanted to note that in 2012, household hazardous waste collected by Grand Traverse County was 48,142 pounds. We collected 5,337 pounds of pesticides, 20 pounds of mercury, 42,716 pounds of household hazardous waste, 69 pounds of pharmaceuticals. We are actually operating a very, very efficient program here, and sometimes we don't take time enough to blow our horn once in a while, but this is stuff that would have been dumped on the ground, flushed down a toilet, or dumped in a landfill. And we've collected 48,000 pounds of hazardous material.
Or gone up in a fire.
In a matter of 4 cleanup days.
Wow.
4 household hazardous waste. And we have scheduled 4 for next year, and we are currently out for bids. I believe the bids are due in on the 20th for a contractor to operate the household hazardous collections for us next year. I just want to make a point to commissioners and to the public. This is an opportunity for you to get rid of things that have no business being dumped on the ground, buried or burned. We have the facilities to take care of them, and you can call the Resource Recovery Office at any time, and we will collect those things. We have a storage facility approved to store them. So, it's just definitely a great thing for us to acknowledge that we have done this. It's good for our environment, it's good for our community.
Very good.
Sonny, are they still going to do one in Kingsley again this next year?
I believe so. It was very
That was-
successful.
yeah.
I believe,
And the bids are lower.
yeah, the bids are coming in lower.
Yeah, good.
They've come in lower the last 2 times. I think we collected 1,100 pounds of pesticides
Yeah.
in Kingsley
Yeah.
when we worked out there.
Okay. Commissioner Max Power, you had something under new business?
I do. Jim Pasco is the county boards and the Commission on Aging boards linked to the Area Agency on Aging at the moment. Jim is the chair of AAA's Finance Committee, and he is vice chair of the AAA board. And as you all know, he has resigned from the Commission on Aging board, but I did speak to him within the last several days, And I asked him if he would be willing to continue as the county boards and the Commission on Aging board's representative on Area Agency on Aging. And he said he would be more than happy to. Now, he presents to the Commission on Aging Board written reports. And really, my goal is not to lose the link as we go into a new county board and as we go into a new Commission on Aging board. I do not want to lose that link with Area Agency on Aging. So what I'm asking the county board to do tonight is to reappoint Jim Pasco to the Area Agency on Aging board until the Commission on Aging board makes a recommendation, whether it be Jim or someone else, to be that representative. So I'm open for thoughts here.
Larry?
Well, just a little bit of history for some of the commissioners, and I don't know how far back it goes, but we got into a discussion with Georgia, and we agreed at some point in time in the past, several years ago, that we would just allow the Commission on Aging to make the recommendation for the county commissioner's representative for the Area Agency on Aging.
It was previously a county commissioner?
Yes. And so we agreed to allow the Commission on Aging to make that recommendation, and what we ended up doing was just ratifying it, and it was really the only one on our sheet. He took a look at our sheet. It was a citizen, it was a non-county commissioner that actually was assigned to that 10-county region entity. So I guess the only thing I would suggest at this point is that I have absolutely no problem in allowing Jim Pasco to continue, but I think it would be, if we're going to stay with the same protocol, then what we would need to do is have the Commission on Aging actually just make a motion and agree to have Jim Pasco as their representative on Commission on Aging, and then we would just ratify it, whether he sits on the board or not. So that would be my suggestion.
Sonny?
My memory's a little foggy, and I can't remember 2010, 2011. One or the other, Commission on Aging chose not to fund Area Agency on Aging.
Yeah, that was my thought.
And they came to the county board and said, we are not going to participate, and if you want us to continue, you need to pay for it.
No, that's true.
And I can't remember, it was 2010, 2011. However,
It was last year.
now we're in this situation where,
We pay
you know, we're paying it, and now we're going to talk about who's going to be the representative. I think this board needs to have some real discussions about what direction we're giving Commission on Aging, or other commissions that we have, whether it be Parks and Recreation or whatever. If we're going to appoint boards and give them duties and responsibilities, and then without their input, come in here and make recommendation of who's going to represent them on another agency, that's probably inappropriate.
Right.
You know, I think, and I don't believe that Jim would do a bad job. I absolutely believe he does a fabulous job. My point is, I don't think this is something we have to do tonight, and I believe we need to work on the relationships between the Board of Commissioners, the Commission on Aging, and a number of other boards. And all of us got the things the other day about looking at next year's assignments. Start looking at all those lists of committees and commissions that we have. And we need to make some serious discussion about whether or not all of those are even necessary. If we're going to appoint boards, give them duties and responsibilities and not listen to what they tell you, or not be there and have a vote, then why do we even have them? Why are we asking these people to do this? You know, but the idea that we're having a position that's appointed, that should be appointed by the Commission on Aging, in that it deals with senior services, we're going to go and appoint that, you know, because we went back and told them they had to fund it. We didn't fund it out of our money.
Yeah, we did.
we did.
One time.
This year.
This year we did.
Is it in the 2011 budget?
Yes.
No, it's this
It's in
year.
the 2012.
It was the 2012, where we discovered this summer that we had the dues had never been paid.
I just
we're
remember
talking about pittance here,
that
but-
they said they weren't paying it, and we were into the process, and I don't want to talk about any participation, at this point, without having a real thorough discussion with them about where this organization is going and where the senior services.
All righty then, I'm sorry I brought it up.
But it could be simply handled, I mean,
I
the
think-
board can address it.
I think that brings up a great point as to when we would like to sit down with the commissioners that have been elected to look at this for next year. Do we want to wait until January to do it, or do we want to do it in December and call a special meeting in December to be able to look at these?
Well, that's, unless you're willing to make a motion, I'd say that's a discussion for another time.
Right, but I think we need to have this
It can be
meeting.
done until after January 1st.
January.
Okay,
It
that's
was-
fine.
But it needs to
I
be
mean,
done.
I really view this as something the new
Okay.
board's going to have to decide, whether you're going to all get it done on that first organizational
You're not gonna
meeting
do
or
it on
not, I don't
January
know.
Oh, where's your spirit of adventure?
Yeah. I would agree with you, Mr. Chairman, that
Okay.
it would be my hope and vision that we would all fill that out, and then we would get into discussions in the first quarter along with our strategic planning, and then
Right.
discuss whether we need to attend these meetings or not as liaisons, and then make decisions, in the first quarter.
All righty. Okay.
You got your
I
direction.
got my direction. Okay.
Okay, that
We
brings
could
us
still have a
to,
discussion with the Commission on Aging, whether they want Jim Pascal as their representative.
And
I
whether-
was just wanting,
And whether-
until the Commission on Aging had a chance to discuss, I just didn't want to lose that link. That was all.
If they want
I'm
to appoint
sorry.
Well, he
Okay.
has a term, he can still go.
Yeah,
His term ends at the end of this year.
right.
Yeah, he
I
can still
might
go.
point out that
Okay, all
2
right.
weeks ago tonight, we reappointed Jim Pasco to another 3-year term, and the next day he resigned that, so. I'm
But
not
also-
sure he's necessarily the best choice. But again, that's a decision for the new board, not this one.
If they're going to appoint somebody, they ought to be able to pay the dues.
That's a good point, too.
Well, the point is that there are two millages that support senior services in this county, and it seems like certain expenditures of money that benefit seniors should be coming out of those millages, which is evidently the core issue that we've been fighting about here. Okay, is there anything else on this issue? Okay. Which brings us to second public comment. Any member of the public wishing to make public comment, please approach the table.
Looks like we've worn them down.
Yes, we have.
Okay, seeing none, we'll close public comment. Commissioner committee reports? Yes?
On Monday, I had the chance to ride the Beta bus from the transfer station on Hall Street to Honor. And this is the connection from Benson County, Grand Traverse County. You will be able to ride from Frankfort to Traverse City on the Beta bus. I think it's 5 times a day that they have a fixed route.
Wow.
So you'll be going from the Hall Street to the Myers, to Grand Traverse Mall, to Menards, and then stopping at Grawn. And the stop at Grawn, there was a young lady who got off there and walked into the house at the bus stop that she was taking care of the people. So it's perfect for her. And then they also have another stop in Interlaken, and at Interlaken you get off and you get back on the bus from Benzie Bus, and they take you all the way over to Frankfurt. And so these routes will be going back and forth on a daily basis, Monday through Friday. I'm really excited about that because it has a connection for our community. There also is a way to take that bus and go, another bus and go all the way to Kalkaska. So we've almost got a rubber tire railroad from Kalkaska to Frankfurt. And you also can get all the way down to Cadillac by bus.
Wow.
So I think that this is a banner day for collaboration. It shows what, you don't have to merge organizations, you just have to talk about how do we work together. And these organizations are working together, and I just want to commend Susan and Tom at each of the bus public transportation organizations that have brought their staffs and brought it together and making this happen. So it's a great day.
It's great.
And Kurt Steidl was there, and he was also just as pleased with that. It was nice to have him here and talking about public transportation.
Okay. Anyone else on committee reports? Bob?
The Employee Recognition and Service Awards team has in our strategic plan to, at least once a year, get in front of the commission and give a very brief report of what it is and what we do and what we're working on. This year, it got kind of to be late in the year, and looking at a new commission coming on at the beginning of next year, just a few weeks away, we decided to put that in January, and I volunteered to come back after my commission term expires to help present that to the new board, as we have a couple new members coming on. So I'll be back, is what I'm saying. You've been warned.
You also have Employee Recognition Day coming up Monday? When is it?
I'm
Or
sorry.
we're
I didn't have it down.
giving out donuts.
Oh,
All the
yeah,
employees.
Monday morning, yes, we're taking donuts
Apples
around.
one week, donuts another.
Yep.
Yes,
Yep.
I'm taking them over to the courts myself.
Yep. So. Jason?
Oh, the meeting, the dam meeting, we haven't had a chance to talk about that since that particular meeting. A lot of unhappy people. I did happen to videotape the entire thing for posterity. I will tell you this, what you're buying for your $50,000 that you left in the budget is an IT team and some folks that are really, they just as soon brush away the concerns of those people who showed up at the Civic Center. A little haughty, I would say, use that word, and not entirely sensitive to what the people were asking. For example, one gentleman was asking, because the AMEC, the engineering firm, their insurance company has gone through, and what they're doing is they're depreciating the property owner's stuff. So there's no replacement. The insurance company's coming in and saying, well, it's really only worth this, and that's what we'll pay, even though it's destroyed. Well, the property owners, of course, are asking the AMEC folks, what are you going to do about it? Well, the insurance companies are taking care of it. But what are you going to do about it when they don't take care of it? And they refuse to answer that question. The other thing is, one of the biologists, makes a sweeping statement. Everybody knows that the rivers are healthier when there are no dams. Well, not everybody knows that, and that's not even necessarily true. But to make a statement like that and just, you're the expert, you're up there, and everybody's supposed to take that as fact. I can tell you, these folks who've never had a problem with a flood in their lives, probably feel differently. And it was interesting, they had the one gentleman, the engineer, who had written a letter to the editor in the newspaper describing what probably happened when they were driving the pilings in and loosened up the sand and created a hydraulic condition. He was somewhat dismissed, unfortunately. I think he had a lot to learn from, but they're not looking for his advice. Okay? They're looking for the team of DEQ folks down in Lansing. Those are the experts. We're not going to listen to anybody else. I can tell you this is not good, and going forward, it's still not going to look good for the county, and it's not going to look good for the city, who's going to ultimately be responsible for the damage that breach caused. So just a heads up. If I was on a jury somewhere at some time in the future, and looking at a settlement, I'd be awful sympathetic.
I really don't have a committee report, but, as Commissioner Richardson suggested I go up to Twin Lakes, I was thinking of our last Parks and Rec Committee meeting, and we have a new member, Elisa Kropa, and she's just absolutely wonderful. She's also on the Garfield Township Parks and Rec Board, and she was saying that after the storm that we had in March where we declared an emergency, she said in Garfield, every single parks commissioner took a park, and they went out in Garfield and started cleaning up the mess. And I'm thinking about this window thing out at Twin Lakes, and I can envision a lot of park areas where parks commissioners and citizens can go out and volunteer. So I intend to mention this at the Parks Board and see if we can't build on this. Thank you, Commissioner Richardson.
Any notices or announcements from anyone?
Just a reminder on the road commission.
Monday.
In the morning,
Monday,
9 a.m.
this coming Monday at 9 a.m., we'll be interviewing road commission candidates for one vacancy on that board. Okay, no need for a closed session?
Nope.
Okay,
Thank everyone for the card last week. I appreciate it.
You're doing all right?
how's your shoulder?
It's still there.
It's still there.
Just take boxing lessons now.
Trigger boxing.
Trigger boxing.
Bill will take care of it.
I'll entertain a motion
Move to adjourn.
We're adjourned.